Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Odds here. Saturday morning, Saturday, the Share the Love Club. On Saturdays, we like to take somebody who's around the Raptors organization, whether it's a player, whether it's one of us, one of the fans that are here, whether it's a coach, assistant coach, broadcaster. We like to celebrate somebody who has to do with the Raptors. And today we're sharing the love for Savanna Hamilton. Savanna Hamilton has been involved in media production for quite a while. It's her degree at Ryerson or Toronto Metropolitan University. Um, and yeah, she actually decided to go to Toronto Metropolitan because of the fact that they had such a good broadcasting school. That in some ways she had offers to go to school in the States, but they didn't have the same kind of school as Ryerson did at that time. So she decided to stay here in Toronto and go to school here and also play on their team. So she did play for their basketball team during her time in her studies, but her studies were the main focus, which is broadcasting. She's very much been in broadcasting. I'm looking at Savannah's LinkedIn page, and it's crazy how much she's done. Just how young she is, as far as being an associate producer at MLSE and assistant director. Hosting stuff for CBL. Of course, all the work she did for 905 last year was fantastic, and she got that upgrade, that promotion to cover the Raptors as a sideline reporter for Sportsnet. And it was much well deserved because her work on the 905 level from the year before was fantastic. She was very much heavily involved in covering the 905 the year before. Well, now she travels with the team for Sportsnet. And that's a fantastic accomplishment. She made that leap. Of course, some different people started moving different ways. Like Amy Audibert went down south to start working for the Miami Heat. Some stuff opened up and things got shuffled around a little bit, and she got her spot. When she started last year, this last season in the NBA with the sideline reporting, she was a little green at times. Not the most polished, but you can definitely tell this whole year. She really worked really hard on getting better and better and better. And by the end of the year, she was fantastic. So I look forward to more years of Savannah Hamilton doing more media roles around the Raptors as they expand and change over time. Who knows? But been a really good, like, to me, she's somebody who, one of the ways I judge the media people is really by what they do in the media room when they're asking the coaches and the players questions. And I always find that Savannah's questions are very humanistic. They're usually very well thought out. They're not usually tabloid or stupid like something Mike Ganter or Aaron Rose would ask, and they're more likely to be worthwhile and questions that I would want to ask. So I appreciate her for being like a real journalist. I think that a lot of people in the media these days are kind of blurring lines with how they do their job. And some of them are very op-ed, kind of like I have a slant and a thing that I want to push, and that's part of why I write the things that I write the way I do. And her, she's just like, get the facts, report them, and come back and let you know what's going on. Instead of, some of these guys do have agendas, and they very much do want to kind of like do screwed up things. So I appreciate her for being a real journalist. Once again, I mean, we celebrated Josh Lewenberg a couple weeks ago, and it's a similar kind of thing. It's like I like the fact that these people are actually journalists. That there's a lot of people that are involved in like covering the Raptors that in some ways they're some of them may be like former players like Kendrick Perkins, or and they have weird they're characters. They're not really like, they have opinions and they act like there's personality on the TV. Well, in some ways, we kind of just want people to report and not have their own personal slants and things on things. And that's why, in some ways, I appreciate people in the media that are more like that at this point. Anybody can be opt-ed or, even like me, and just spout their opinions and stuff. But to just come in and clean yourself of all that and just come in and just report the facts, that is something that I really, really value in today's media landscape. Let's just put it that way. Race mode is here first. Good to see Edmund. I was totally years old. I was today years old when I learned that Savannah is related to Sherman. This is not true. This is something that has been misconceived in many times in different places. I thought this at one point, but I went and did research on this a couple years ago, and this is not true. They're not actually related to each other. Not even like any kind of like secondary way or anything. They have no linkages in their family. But to realize the Hamilton last name is pretty common around in a lot of different places. And, they're actually not related. A lot of people think that, whoa, is like she have this job because it's Sherman or vice versa or something like that. No, they have nothing to do with each other. It's just a really like a coincidence. It's a coincidence that two of the main people or two of the people working in media for the Raptors have the same last name, but they aren't actually related. No, she's from a family here in Mississauga, Hamilton's, and her aunt Carolyn was one of the first Canadians drafted to the WNBA ever in the history of the WNBA. That's a little fun fact about Savannah. And also, most people know this, but Savannah has a twin sister named Oceana, and she's actually the this twin that is really like the better basketball player because she's continuing to play professional ball right now. I'm not sure if she's actually in WNBA right now, but she may be playing overseas, and she is playing pro ball as her I don't even know, is she in college? No, I don't think she's in college. They're twins. She should be already out of college. But yeah, Savannah has a background in basketball, and she played and she can play. She's pretty good. In fact, I saw footage recently of her playing a pickup game with some of the other Raptors content creators around the Raptors world. They asked her, "Did you go easy on them?" It's like, well, we went and did some work, and we did what we did out there on the court. It's kind of Savannah was all business. I'm sure she went out there and cooked whatchamacallit, Samson Folk. I'm sure she did cook Samson Folk when they played pickup basketball recently. I'll bet she did. I bet you Samson came out there and he's like, "I'm gonna guard you, Savannah," and Savannah cooked him. I'll bet you she did. Oh yeah, she did. I'll bet. All right, yeah. So just to make it clear, y'all, just so everybody knows in Raptorland, that she is not related to Sherman. They're not actually related to each other. It's just a coincidence they have the same last name. So if you guys want to talk about Savannah Hamilton, tell me more things about what you appreciate about her. And also, of course, the big news today is this exhibition WNBA game going down at 4 p.m. Scotiabank Arena, Chicago Sky versus the Minnesota Lynx. And we've had the press conferences yesterday. We've had some autograph signings. The big 12-foot statue is downtown and getting signed by everybody to commemorate the WNBA playing their first ever game here, exhibition game. This will be the third preseason game for both teams, and their regular season will start on Friday. So there's all kinds of stuff that's cool about today. It's all about the WNBA today and the ladies. We're talking about Savannah Hamilton, and we're also talking about this big game at 4 o'clock today. Let's see what you guys have to say in the comments. Let's see what's up. G is saying Ron Harper, Coloco, and Doughton at the game, and go Savannah. That's right, G. She's awesome. Like I said, I like seeing people put in the work. And when they show results and you can see the progress right in front of you because it's on broadcast, you like that. You like to see the players develop on the court and get better over time, like Pascal and OG. You like to see the broadcasters get better over time, whether it's Savannah, Alvin Williams has gotten better over the years too, like in different ways with his delivery. That is what we like to see, people working hard and doing good at their job. And Savannah's the epitome of that kind of stuff. In the media, you can tell she really takes her job seriously and she works very, very hard. And that's why she's gotten to where she has already as a young person. So she's on the rise, that's for sure. Isaac Campbell's got a big heart in this situation. Yeah, let me get back to what G said. Last night, the Leafs were eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's sad. I hate it. In fact, it was a weird situation where the Florida Panthers and the Miami Heat both advanced to the conference finals on the same night. It's a situation that's never ever happened, actually, y'all, where two teams from the same metropolitan city advanced to their conference finals on this very same night. This is a historic thing in some ways, and Miami fans are very, very happy from seeing the Miami Heat going from what seed they are all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, and also the same thing with the Panthers. They're a very low seed also, and they made it to their Eastern Finals also. Yeah, good day to be down in South Florida if you're a sports fan. But yeah, this is a cool thing last night out of the game, even though they lost and it's disappointing. Is that the Raptors were at the game last night, specifically Christian Coloco, Ron Harper Jr., and Jeffrey Doughton Jr. Now, Jeffrey being there is a really good sign. Seriously, think about this. This man has no allegiance to us at this point. He's a floating out there in the anywhere kind of thing. He is a restricted free agent. We can't match it, but in some ways, he's not officially a Raptor right now. And the fact that we've been kind of not playing for a month and he's still here, he's back here in Toronto with the guys at the game enjoying himself last night. In fact, he was kind of giddy. You watch some of the Instagram stories from them being at the game last night, and Jeff is dancing in the aisle when they scored. He got up and he started dancing around. So happy when the Leafs scored and tied it up and caused overtime last night. But yeah, fun stuff to see those three guys there. And I just really happy to see Jeffrey and like celebrating Toronto sports and being here. That's a super good sign that, yeah, he is going to be back next year, y'all. Why would he be at the Leaf game last night if Jeffrey wasn't going to be back? Let's see what else y'all are saying this morning. This is a great morning. The WNBA is in town. Everybody get excited about this. Fiercey's here. Good to see Fiercey Salsera. Scotty Barnes, Twitch family 2022 forever. Forever. We love you, Scotty. We miss you on Twitch, my friend. Happy Saturday, fam. My cousin went to Ryerson. It is apparently a great institution. Wishing Savanna all the best. It's just the beginning. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool that, she really is a homegrown product. Much like Delano Banton, we celebrate our own people, like Delano from Rexdale. Well, she's the same. She's from Mississauga, grew up here, went to university here, and works here, and some of the stuff I did the research on her yesterday, she did say her dream is to work in the States for a pro team down there. But are you okay with being home and working in the pro teams here? I mean, Savannah, that's kind of nice to be home and be able to be around your family and do your job and check in. If you had to go to somewhere like Denver or something like that and work out of that city, you wouldn't be able to see your family as much, Savannah. So I know that you may have aspirations to work in the States, but come on, stay homegrown, stay here in Canada. We love having your talent around our team. And, I mean, maybe someday you will get poached, but hopefully you get to stick around and work for the Raptors for a good little period of time for sure. But yeah, Ryerson, I've heard good things about Toronto Metropolitan University. I've had different friends that have gone there. In fact, Adriana's taking courses there this fall. She's going back to school at that university this fall. So good stuff about Toronto Metropolitan University. They changed the name now. Tom Duke is saying Savannah can be quite critical and doesn't kiss up. There you go, Tom. Tom talking about why he appreciates her as far as with their interview skills. I like her confidence and being real. Good morning. Good morning to you, Tom Duke. How's the weather on the BC end of this country? I hope that you're having a great time and the spring's continuing to go and be flourishing and green for you, my good friend. All kinds of green in the ground and in your hand. How about that? That's what I wish for you, Mr. Duke. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, she can be tough. She can be tough. I've seen her be a little feisty in the interview room a little bit with her questions. The more comfortable she gets, the more she's going to probably be more daring with asking questions. She definitely gets respect in the press room, and some of the players probably are used to being around her and getting interviewed by her. And some of the most funny interviews are the end of game interviews with these guys like Pascal and OG. The famous one with Amy Audibert about what do you like about Texas? All the goofy stuff that happens in the post game interviews is fun. And Savannah does a good job with them. Very, very much does a good job with them. And I've appreciated her in that job this year. She's been great. Let's see. Fiercey's also saying, speaking of weird characters, I'm so happy the Knicks got eliminated. Watching Stephen A. Smith ranting was epic. No sympathy for Raptors haters. Yeah, it's been a torturous ride in some ways for both the Leafs and Knicks Nation. They got their hopes up. They got to really enjoy like a first round win. And then the second round kind of things came crashing down. this is how it works. They're going to get that first round problem out of their way, and then the second round is a problem too. It's just how it is. I'm with you on this, Fiercey, because Stephen A. Smith, fuck you. That's what I'm going to say this morning. This is a podcast. I'm a fan. I'm not a journalist like Savannah, so I don't have to be professional. I'm going to say fuck you to Stephen A. Smith this morning, and the reason why is very much this. Monique knows why I'm saying fuck you to Stephen A. Smith this morning, because yesterday on ESPN he did his countdown of the top 5 greatest buzzer beater playoff shots. And guess what shot it was the anniversary of yesterday? And guess which one he did not include in his top 5 for the greatest buzzer beater shots in the history of the NBA playoffs? What an idiot. How can you not include the Kawhi Leonard shot against Philadelphia at the last second of Game 7 in a deciding series like that? How can you not include that shot, Stephen A. Smith? You are definitely a hater, and that you cannot recognize how great that shot is. And like, even on the anniversary of it happening, that's very calculated and omitted on purpose. It's either like the ESPN people working with Stephen A's, like, let's slight the Raptors on the shots anniversary to make it seem like it's not even more important by not ranking it on there. So that's why I'm saying that to Stephen A this morning. You're ludicrous and ridiculous. If you have a countdown of the greatest buzzer beater shots in the history of the NBA playoffs and you do not include the Kawhi Leonard shot, your list is faulty. Your list is wrong. I'll put it that way. Yeah, and there's a little bit of bias showing that you wouldn't include that one shot. I wonder why they don't like putting that shot on blast. One of the most epic, crazy, amazing playoff shots ever. Why do you not want to put that on blast, NBA? It's dramatic. It's awesome. It's amazing. And you're showing something with that. I'm telling you, you're showing something with that. Cool Cat's saying, good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Excited to attend the WNBA game today. All right, Cool Cat is going to the game today. I'm still on the fence. I literally could just shoot down there this afternoon and talk to Marco and see if he can get me in the door and just attend all of a sudden just for fun. I may still do that. It depends on how much work I get done after the stream. Before that time, I may get down there and try and get in the door just for fun, just by myself. But I'm glad to hear that you're going, Cool Cat. And if I don't get down there, I may need you to help me out tomorrow with kind of giving me the feel of how the building was and how things went at the game and stuff, because I am going to try and get there, but there's no guarantee I will be able to get there just because of how much I've got to do. But I'm glad to hear you're going. And I'll definitely, tomorrow, the Sunday special report's going to be on WNBA and the possibilities of expanding here to Toronto. And I'm going to talk more about the timeline of that kind of stuff and maybe any kind of other questions about WNBA stuff. We'll talk about tomorrow, Sunday special report, WNBA in Toronto, a recap of the game from today, and also talking about the potentials, the really, really very real potential that we will have an expansion WNBA team here in Toronto in the coming year. Not like far away, very soon, y'all. In fact, if we do things really, really well today with this game today, show this amazing support and enthusiasm, yeah, they could announce this, like I said, within the week that they want to expand into Toronto. It's looking like there's 2 places that are very likely that they're going to expand to, and Toronto's one of them. The other one being Golden State's Bay Area, giving them a WNBA team. But there's other teams that are trying too, like Denver. There's some teams that lost their team because they didn't work out financially, and they're trying to reacquire their team, like Portland and Charlotte. But I think, honestly, Golden State and Toronto have the best 2 chances of getting the WNBA expanded teams. So we'll talk more about that stuff tomorrow. But I'm glad you're going, Cool Cat, and definitely keep your eyes and ears open and let us know some fun things about the game that you experienced today. Let's see. Randolph is here. Good to see Randolph Phillips. Beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Blessings and good day. The WNBA game is just what we need until we get our new coach and draft pick, our picks, new contracts and players. Give us the WNBA. Yes. Yes. Yes, Randolph. Today is a day we were so happy to hear about this. This is delayed. We were supposed to get this WNBA game in 2020. It was supposed to happen just shortly after the pandemic started, and we're really getting it late now. 3 years later, the WNBA is showing up in Toronto finally today. And it's so great. It's so good. We got some good Canadian players playing in the game. Excited to be here, Bridget Carlton, with a really great interview yesterday talking about how special it is to be playing the game in Canada and putting ladies basketball, women's basketball on blast for the young women and little girls here in Canada to see. This is what it's all about, and you can be in the WNBA yourself someday. That kind of stuff is so important. People don't realize that, like, examples of people doing something makes them encouraged that they could do it too. And if they don't see any examples of those people doing it, well, then they don't. Sometimes it's hard to dream to achieve when there's no kind of like path ahead of them. So this kind of stuff is all very important. Savanna Hamilton herself said, seeing people on TV with her skin color doing reporting inspired her as a little girl to want to get into broadcasting. So it's an important thing to have leadership or people doing those jobs, showing people, yeah, you have that path and you can do that. Whether it's going to be Becky Hammond taking a coaching job in Toronto and show young women you can coach in the NBA. That kind of stuff is important, breaking the glass ceilings and giving good examples for people. Well, having a WNBA game played here in Canada, in Toronto today, is a good step in the right direction to encourage young women to pick up that ball and get out there and hoop. And I want all about that. I want to see the Canadian national women's basketball team to be just as stacked and just as badass as the men's team. And I'm pretty sure they are pretty good already, but we want to get even more really, really good women players coming up in the system also. So good players all around. I don't care what your gender is. We just want good Canadian basketball players. That's right. That's what we want. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. And I appreciate you, Randolph. Blessings and love to the Phillips family, as always. And we appreciate your daily blessings when you come in here. Tom Duke saying, have fun, Cool Cat. Those are female Raptors. Okay, so he's got like his 5 Raptor lineup, even though it's a lynx and a sky. You need to put some clouds and a furry cat on there, Tom. We don't have our team yet. This is the thing. This is expansion has to happen first. And this is exhibition game between Chicago and Minnesota. So it's not exactly right, Tom. Cool guy saying, I love Savannah's development in her job. Kudos to her inspiring for all. Tough loss for Leaf Nation. Warriors out. Grote doing his greatness. It's hilarious. Like the Heat fans are so much like come around on Kyle Lowry. I told them this. We all said it. We know. Raptors Nation knows. Heat Nation, shut up. You may eat your words when the playoffs come around and you see what Kyle Lowry will actually do for you. And a lot of them are saying that. I was just checking their comments actually before I went on. And the Heat Nation are saying he's earned his contract just in the playoffs. He may not have done jack during the regular season, but Kyle Lowry has definitely earned his money in their eyes at this point for the contributions he's doing in the postseason. There you go. That's Kyle Lowry's time. Just like Jimmy, these guys kind of flip a switch and they know it's time to really play. And that's what they do. This is why they're professionals. They are ultimate, true NBA professionals because professionals take their job very professionally and they know when it's time to show up and really do major things. There's a lot of guys in this league that are professionals that don't show up. And what is this Game 6 Klay Thompson bullshit? What is that all about? And I've seen him play in 2 Game 6s in both rounds, and he didn't show up for either one of them. And last night was a Game 6, Klay. Well, you can't be Mr. Game 6 if you're not doing shit. Your team's getting eliminated. So, yeah, that's pretty hilarious. The Warriors have been eliminated by a Western Conference team. For the first time in like forever, they have not been eliminated by a Western Conference team in forever. So the Lakers get that honor. That's fishy. In fact, when you go and look at the box score, the Lakers shot an absurd amount of free throws last night. They shot like 45 free throws to like 19 free throws for the Warriors. Yeah. You don't think they're trying to push LeBron further along in the playoffs? Well, the Nuggets need to play very efficient, very tough, and very, very well, and put LeBron and the Lakers out. Go Nuggets, go. Seriously, the refs helped the hell out of the Lakers last night against the Warriors. Go look at the free throws. Seriously, how the hell did they get so many damn free throws? Seriously, who's giving them so many free throws like that? James Williams. Yeah, that's who it is. James Williams. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, but yeah, very, very inspired by Savannah and her hard work and her development and what she's been doing. And sad of what's happened to the Leafs, but you know what? They're building. They're growing to build. And next year, try and increase how far you get in the playoffs next year, Leafs. That's what you got to do. Don't give up. Keep going, Leafs. Diane's here. Good to see Diane Hart. Hey, Alexi. I hope you're doing well. Thank you, Diane. Hope you've been doing well also. Good to see you pop in and say hi. I know you've probably been watching here and there at times, but nice to see you here live. We're celebrating the WNBA today. Big game today. Maybe you're going to the game. I don't know, but it's going to be fun to see history in Canadian soil. The first ever WNBA game held here. Exhibition, but do you know we're going to get a regular season game at some point when we get our own team? It's going to be awesome. Cool Cat saying, love seeing our rookies living in the city off season. Coloco's swing that it's not that cold. Begging Scotty to give Cardi her own IG account. Hope he sees it. Okay, so you're sending Scotty messages on Instagram to get Cardi her own account. And I agree with this. I think that a Cardi IG account, Cardi Barnes account would be fun, Scotty. And if you're missing the Twitch time, maybe you can vicariously do something like this for Cardi on social media and fill some of that time with the internet connection. I don't know how much you're missing us from Twitch. You seem to be having a good summer so far, and that's all that matters. We just want you to rest, work hard, do good job developing, stay healthy, and just have fun and recharge and recalibrate your brain for the new season and how you want to go about things, Scott. In fact, let me go look at the Instagram stories from our guys. First, I got Coloco in the arena. He's showing they were outside throwing the shirts in Maple Leaf Square. It's Maple Leaf Square when the Leafs are playing. But it's good to see our Raptor guys throwing shirts to the Leaf fans before the game. And then inside the game, Jeff was like filming Christian eating a hot dog, and he caught him, and Christian kind of laughs, and then he says later, he's like, "Yo, man, why are you like? I can't even paparazzi's everywhere, man. I can't even eat my glizzy in peace." That's what Christian's saying. He's just trying to eat a hot dog, and Jeff's filming him secretly. And then we see when this goal is scored, we see Jeffrey dancing, and Ron's like got his phone out, and Jeff's like going crazy in the aisleway, and he's very happy. Yeah, there he is. He's doing the what is it called? The Scotty was always talking about that dance, the gritty or something. I think he's doing. Okay, we got more pictures of Siakam from last weekend at F1 on that, and then let's see. Yeah, Jeff and Ron also putting on blast the Leaf game on their social media. Pretty cool stuff. I love seeing, like you said, the rookies being in town. I mean, Jeff's not a rookie, but those other two guys were definitely our rookies last year. So they count for that. All right, Chris. Chris is a little bit active on social media yesterday. He's got a new Subway commercial. In fact, seeing the Subway sandwiches in Chris's commercial worked on me. And I'm like, I want to eat Subway now. I don't know. This is a very effective way to get Raptor fans to eat Subway by putting Scotty in Bowlway commercials and Chris Boucher in the Subway commercials also, because I literally did crave Subway after I saw this. So it's very, very good marketing. I'm definitely going to want to go get some Subway as soon as possible. I didn't get some yesterday, so I kind of want some today just because of Chris's great commercials. Now we see Chris is down south in the islands. I'm going to guess he's at St. Lucia. Like I would think that he would go home, or maybe he's at another island somewhere, but he's definitely down there getting his time in the sun right now. He's there with his guys. And we know he has fun, and he had such a nice summer last year on the jet skis and doing wrestling moves into the pool and stuff. So he's back down there with his guys getting that time. So I like seeing that. And the other thing that Chris did yesterday, this is hilarious. He it was the anniversary of the shot yesterday, right? So that clip of this family in Philadelphia that's very much a Sixers fan family with the little kids crying and reacting to the shot by Kawhi, like it's the worst thing in the world. It is comical. It's kind of sad also, just because you see these kids tortured by Kawhi making the shot. But Chris found the shot, and I guess he's never seen it because he was like laughing about it. He's like, "Sorry, I'm dying," because he's laughing. Obviously, he was on the team at the time, sitting on the bench, and saw the shot. And he has his own part and being happy about it. And so seeing the Philadelphia fan clip that's so famous of them reacting to the shot and Chris reacting to it now. There's something meta about that. That's kind of deep and funny to me. Chris Boucher reacting to the Philadelphia fans' disappointment from the Kawhi shot like 5 years ago. So good and hilarious. But yeah, Chris, you're awesome. You keep doing what you do and all that kind of stuff. All right, there's our social media check with our Raptors on Instagram. Chris Boucher, very active right now. Very cool. Let's see what else we got going on here. Yeah, there was some Scotty stuff, but not as much yesterday. It's more Chris and the guys from the game last night. Let's see what else y'all are saying. Marlon Toby is here. Good to see Marlon's back. Always, we appreciate your Raptor freak, Marlon Toby. I know you drop in here and there, and maybe you watch me at other times. Morning, everyone. So ironic, we are in Cancun, and Kyle is in another Eastern Conference Finals with Jimmy. In some ways, it is what it is. We had a season of dysfunction. We had some people who tapped out a little early on our seasons, namely our coach. And we weren't destined to have any destiny in the playoffs, basically because these people didn't, their heart wasn't in it. That Nick's heart wasn't into things near the end at some point. And that really is the main reason why they had to fire him no matter what. Is there something went off in him as far as with his competitive spirit and him trying to run this team correctly? There's something, he just checked out. And what can you do about that? What can you do about that? It's very impressive. The Miami Heat have made it to the conference finals like 7 out of the last 14 years. So like every other year, the Heat are in the Eastern Conference Finals. That is very impressive that they've had that kind of consistency of winning to get to that level at least with Eric Spoelstra. So, there's a lot to this. Kyle's getting near the end of it, man. It's like it's now or never. He's got to do this now. And our guys have a little bit more time with their timelines, with their careers. So, in a lot of ways, this is maybe one of the best chances for Kyle to get a second championship is this year. But we'll see if he has legs for it. I mean, this is not going to be easy. In the next round, they're going to have to play whoever wins tomorrow with Philly and Boston. That game 7 tomorrow in Boston. And then, the finals, whoever's going to be playing them in the finals. So I just still don't think that Miami is going to win. But if they did, I wouldn't be upset. I'd be kind of happy if they won compared to Boston or Philly. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes down. Tom Duke saying Kyle was awesome in that series. Growth power. Yeah, well, we're seeing the greatness of Kyle Lowry. Miami fans are feeling it. And, don't ever sully his name again. You guys are falling in the trap that a lot of Raptor fans did over the years with Kyle of like denigrating him, putting him down when he has his downs, his ups and downs. But that he rises occasion when it matters the most. And yeah, sure, there'll be failure and success. We've talked about this so much recently. But the path to success has failure on it. And that's the thing. Kyle's more likely to come up and get you success at the time when it's absolutely the best time to get you success. So put respect on his name. And even if he plays crappy during the regular season, Miami Heat fans, respect him because that when it matters, he will show up just like Jimmy. And this is something y'all should have known all along in the couple of years that you've had Kyle Lowry on your team. Well, now you know what Toronto Raptors fans know and why he is the greatest Raptor of all time. There you go. You learned. Name was saying, okay, clearly Stephen A has an agenda. He's told not to mention the Kawhi shot guaranteed. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's so calculated because it's the anniversary of it. Why would he even do that list on that given day? He could have done it at any time this playoff. So he did it yesterday, and it's on the anniversary of the Kawhi shot. Yeah, they're trying to, this is just like what anybody does in history. They try and rewrite it or poo-poo it or ignore certain parts of history, and they don't want to put it forward. It's kind of how people rewrite history is they kind of avoid stuff. And in some ways that may be part of it is like they don't want to add to the perception or part of that history and perpetuate it by like, okay, these are the top 5 all-time greatest playoff shots instead. Fuck you, Stephen A. Smith. Let's just say that. Tom Duke saying 100%. Buongiorno, nameless. Buongiorno to nameless. My paisan, nameless. Yeah. Fiercey saying, enjoy the game, cool cat. Gotta go, fam. Take care, y'all. All right, Fiercey, have a great day. Get out there and touch grass. Have a fantastic Saturday, whatever you're up to today. Nameless is saying, they are weird there. They won't include it because it's not American. You're talking about the most arrogant country on the entire planet. Ciao, Tom. Mio amico. Mio amico. I'm saying that means my friend. I can read that. I know what that means. Wow. Ciao, Tom. Mio amico. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Is this because it's Canadian? I don't know if it's a Canadian versus American thing. I think it's just Stephen A. Smith being salty. This is what you get. You do a little dumb little clip on in the afternoon, a commemoration of the shot. And we know what the shot is. Like people can say the shot in recent history, and what are they going to think off the top of their head? The shot. What is the shot? Just in general. Somebody says, "Oh, the shot." What? Oh, you mean Kawhi shot? Yeah, that's what most people are going to think when you think of the shot in the recent years of the history of the NBA. There's one singular shot in the NBA that you can go to and be like, "Oh, the shot." You would think Kawhi shot. What are you going to think otherwise first? What shot? Seriously, out there. Seriously. That's why I don't get this. Stephen A. Smith trying to poo poo. Well, you know what you get? You ignore it. You sully it like that. Well, your team gets eliminated from the playoffs. That's what you get, Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, comes around, goes around. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Trevor's saying, good morning. Miami Heat moving on and LA moving on. They were the team that nobody thought they will get there. Surprised me, too. Yeah, the Lakers are surprising me right now. But in some ways, I'm not. I'm gonna ruin their run by saying the referees are helping them. They're absolutely helping them get them as this far. The Warriors would probably beat them if they didn't have dysfunctional problems with some of their teammates and some of the things going on their team. They probably would have beat them normally, but they have issues with themselves, and then the refs are helping, and then of course the Lakers are kind of running okay right now. There's usually some sort of dysfunction around them. If they had Russell Westbrook on their team right now, they would not have made it past the first round. There's a lot of different issues and things that are adding up to the Lakers' improbable run. Well, hopefully it comes crashing down in this next round against the Mile High City in Denver with their higher record, their home advantage, and Jokic playing at a crazy high level. In the last round, Nikola Jokic averaged a triple-double and 30 points at the same time. That is insane, y'all. Those are the kind of stats that Wilt Chamberlain would put up in his playoffs way back in the day, like 30 points on triple-doubles every single game. Yeah. So hopefully the Nuggets are running so good that they will just cream the Lakers right on out of the playoffs, and they'll just take that finals berth and be in the finals. You go, Denver Nuggets and Jamal Murray. We are rooting for you in north of the border. You go, Nuggets. Get this series and don't mess around. Be just like Coach Malone said. Don't have any mercy. Mess them up. If you're up by 30, continue to mess them up. Do not let up and just cream them right out of the playoffs. That's what I want to see. Go Nuggets is what I'm saying. I am so shocked that the Lakers have survived and made it to the Western Conference Finals. It's ridiculous, honestly. It in some ways says that the product of the NBA sucks. And it's stupid that a team like them that have been like they have all season can get to this point. And you know what? Does it even matter like the regular season and seeding at this point with teams like Miami and the Lakers doing what they're doing? Milwaukee looks so stupid as the number one team in the league, the way they went out. It's really weird and fishy. A lot of things that have happened in these playoffs, seriously. And the ref crews have been really crazy stacked with veteran, shady ass refs on every single game. Every single game, there's been a shady ref on almost every single playoff game this year. It's crazy. It is crazy. Marlon's saying with this new CBA, teams like the Warriors, the Lakers, and Clippers are going to be between a rock and a hard place very soon. That's what I like to hear. I want to hear these teams having trouble with their personnel and their contracts and figuring out who they're got this what and they're going to do in this and all that. Yeah, I'm all about hearing this kind of news, Marlon. Thank you. G saying Golden State shot the same amount as the Lakers, although much less efficiency. Same points in the paint. I know Golden State is smaller, but how did they only get 14 free throws versus 42 if they also had more rebounds? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's fishy as hell. That's basically you breathe on LeBron, he's going to the line. You do this with Anthony Davis, he's going to the line. That's a really big discrepancy. Like that is 42 to 14. That is the opportunity to get 28 more points than the Warriors for the Lakers. because they're getting sent to the line. Those are easy shots. In some ways, it's like you miss shots. It's just a turnover, and like the ball goes back the other way. Well, you miss a shot, and then tweet, there's a late whistle. Oh, we're bailing you out and putting you on the free throw line. There's a lot of that kind of bullshit with the refs, and the free throw discrepancy is real. That's dramatic. That is dramatic. In an elimination game, yeah, that's really screwy. G saying, and many more offensive rebounds. Didn't watch the game, but that free throw discrepancy makes no sense. It probably went other ways. And some of the games where the Warriors won, they probably got all the free throws. That's what I'm saying. Let's see where they're aiming the hose, where they're giving the water to. Which side of the lawn? Oh, let's give the water to the Lakers tonight. Okay, 42 free throws. Shh, water that part of the lawn, and ignore the other part. Yeah, they dry out real quick. And this is lush and green, and that's looking a little yellow. That's what I'm saying. They can do that. They can really, really like kind of guide and help flourish one side of the teams by giving them more opportunities. Isaac saying at G, because Looney is a great rebounder, but doesn't have an inside presence scoring wise, doesn't get to the free throw line, just resets. Okay. Isaac's given a reasonable reasoning for why this may happen with the rebound totals being like that and the free throws like this. That's still, in some ways, I don't like how guys get reputations for whether they should go on the line or not, because they really do gatekeep with this. We know this as Raptor fans, how they gatekeep who's an and one guy in this league and who isn't. And in some ways, that's very directed. We know that Pascal could be an and one guy on the regular if they actually gave him the respect that he deserves. We know that OG for years has been cheated of an extra point when getting fouled and finishing to the basket, but they don't call anything. That's what I'm saying. They really do like, if they're not gonna anoint Kevon Looney as an and one guy. That he could be getting fouled, even though it doesn't seem like it. But I don't know. This whole thing is like, I'm very suspicious of the Lakers getting this far in the playoffs. Let's just put it that way. And I think that a Warrior fan would actually really agree with me right now this morning. Really, really would agree with me right now. Let's see. Tom Duke saying $19 plus a tip for a foot long brisket sandwich. Hopefully, Big Four is making a couple of dollars each Subway. Only reason I want to eat Subway. It wasn't bad though. Okay, so Tom was suspect to the advertising with the Raptors involved. He sees Big Four pushing Subway Bowlway. He's like, I might have to go eat fresh. And he heads down to the green and yellow submarine stand and says, I saw this great commercial with young Scotty Wayne Barnes, and he's selling something called the Bowlway brisket or something. Can I have that? Oh, yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Duke, sir. And they make it up, and it's so good, but it was expensive, huh? Expensive. Well, maybe it was really good. I don't know. You're making me hungry, Tom. I think I'm gonna have to go to Subway after this. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go after this. Marlon's saying I'm craving a chicken teriyaki myself. I know this is spreading. This is getting out of control. We may have to call the CDC. We have hunger spreading, just like a pandemic right now. Now, Marlon and Tom and I, we got to go to Subway now. Oh my gosh. G saying at Isaac, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Van Hoot's here. Good to see Van Hoot. Check out Basketball Rewind. Always a nice, lively discussion on Basketball Rewind. Often having guests and talking all kinds of stuff. I love the work you're doing on the draft prospects right now, Van Hoot. Keep it up. Keep it up. I'll keep the content coming. Van Hoot saying, is Sav coming out today? She is actually going to be the sideline reporter for the game today, I believe. And Amy Audibert will be in the broadcast booth. It's, of course, an all-female broadcast for today for the WNBA game. But I do believe, I remember hearing that Savanna Hamilton will be working the game today as a sideline reporter. And Amy Audibert's going to be in the booth as a caller commentator. So she's actually going to be back in town also for this. So yeah, I think she is going to be there today. I'm expecting it. They've been, they've had the WNBA teams practicing at the OVO in the last couple of days. Very cool stuff. And they're showing footage of them doing their drills and scrimmages in the OVO. People very excited about it. In fact, it looked like my friend Freddie Rivas of Confederacy of Dunks was actually in the house at their practices yesterday, watching them live. So you go, Freddie, getting in there and getting to watch that stuff. I'll be interested to hear what you say on your show about your WNBA experience yesterday, Freddie Rivas. Yeah. Yeah, Nameless is saying we need a Canadian phenom basketball player to emerge and refuse to play anywhere but Toronto. That will change all perceptions of the Raptors. I think our perception is still pretty good, but there are active forces out there trying to destroy things. In fact, there's a report out yesterday, and I know Monique was really upset about it when she saw it, but I'm going to tell y'all this is a real report, and I'm not going to say that this is not real. There's a report out there that the Phoenix Suns are going to be going after Fred VanVleet. Uh, you know, this makes sense. This makes total sense. I don't think this is a made up lie by Jake Fisher because let's look at it this way, right? All right. That parlay special about Fred that came out in recent years was around the last time that he had his contract come up. And we found out in that parlay special that Phoenix was a very strong suitor to try and get Fred at that time, and that he had a serious decision between Toronto and Phoenix at that time on what he was going to do with his contract. Well, we know what he did. He stuck with us, and he chose us in the end. But they're going to push even harder this summer, apparently. You think about it, the way that they just went out and Chris Paul didn't even play in the last couple games. They're already saying that they don't want Chris Paul back. They're going to have to replace him. So there is a very strong want for Fred VanVleet in Phoenix on the Suns, and that is very real. That is for real. They will be probably trying to offer him a contract, so they may be in competition with us to get Fred. So we'll have to see how this all goes. I mean, technically, isn't Fred still under contract with us, and they'd have to do a sign and trade? And that would really hinge on us being willing to part with him in some ways. I think that's part of it too. I don't know exactly. Of course, Mike, if he was here, he'd be able to fill in the blanks. But the Suns are serious about coming after Fred. That's not a lie. That's for real. They've had an interest in him for a few years now. And now that it's around this time and it's looking like Chris Paul's on his way out, I'll bet you they're going to make a strong push to try and lure Fred to their team. So we got to be ready for this. Hopefully, Freddie stays loyal to us and we give him what he wants and he just stays on our team. We can't afford to lose Fred, too. We're losing our coach this summer. In some ways, we didn't really want to, but we had to. Well, I don't really want to lose our point guard also this summer. That would not be good for our team. Trust me. So, Masai, figure this out with Fred. And this whole thing, Fred, don't use the Suns against us in some ways. Please just like make things cool and going forward because I don't want you to do some things this summer that are going to prove some things that make me look dumb for standing up for you all season. Let's just put it that way because there's a lot of people that have been hating on you all season and I've been protecting you and talking you up all year. I just want to make sure that if you could just do this, please stay here. And don't like do anything crazy this summer. We'll have to see how that goes. Oh my gosh. Van Hoot is saying the Lakers got this far because the Warriors had nothing that they could do to stop downhill penetration for 2 rounds in a row. They also couldn't stop AD when he showed up. Not conspiracy. Well, they get a little push and a little help, Van Hoot. Don't kid yourself. LeBron has special rules with the referees. He always has. In some ways, he's been propped up for his whole career in some ways by the refs. It's very much a similar thing that Jordan had too. There's Jordan rules and there's LeBron rules. And they do actually really help a team. In fact, this is the crazy thing about the Lakers. They've helped them consistently for years, but they've been so shit that even with the help from the refs, they couldn't even get that far. That's how much of a joke they've been. I'm not going to give them that credit. I'm sorry. They're in some ways, they're not a good team. They're a team with two really good superstars that when one of them shows up, they play pretty good. But otherwise, they're not actually really a good team. They don't play well with each other all around. It's just that they're kind of filling in things. They're having some luck. The Warriors were in disarray. And, I'm not going to get behind you on this. I mean, in a lot of ways, the referees help them. And you can say that it's a conspiracy or something like that, but I believe this. That seriously. That the referees very much guide a lot of things in the NBA at this point. And it's too bad that it's this way, but it is. And, teams just have to be so good, they have to overcome it. Well, the Warriors didn't play to a high enough level to overcome the referees helping the Lakers. And part of it is that they don't have some of the stuff that they need inside. And part of it is that they do rely too heavy on their 3-point shots going in for most part. But I'm not going to give the Lakers that much credit. You could be a Lakers fan or a LeBron fan and stand up for him, but I'm not. I'm the opposite. And I'll poo-poo all of his accomplishments. Just like people poo-poo the Raptors' accomplishments, well, I do that to LeBron in reverse. And I really realize some people are Raptor fans and LeBron fans. Well, I'm not. I'm an anti-LeBron person. So I'll put him down every chance I get, even if it's not fair, because I'm doing the counterbalance in the other way. Let's see. Van Hoot saying Suns don't have cap space. Fred is a free agent, could opt in, but it could be a sign and trade, which means you get something from them. That is perfectly fine. These are moves towards the next chip. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what Bobby and Messiah value in the situation and what could be possibly coming back. In fact, there's not a lot attractive in Phoenix to me at this point. I don't want Aiden. I don't want to make a swap where we get Chris Paul coming up here. What is that? That's stupid. Why would we want to get Chris Paul right at the end of his career? That doesn't make any sense. Their best asset was Bridges. He'd be the only one that I really wanted from them, but now he's in Brooklyn. So, in a lot of ways, I don't really like the cupboard that's in Phoenix. And if they're planning on doing a sign and trade, I'm not that into it. I mean, who are we going to get? Seriously, what are we going to get? Old Raptors? Terrence Ross and Bismack Biyombo? No, no. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, and we'll see what they decide. It's good to know that they have to make moves to make this work. Well, that makes sense. I mean, they just added Kevin Durant. It's not like they're going to have a whole lot of cap space going on with that team. That's for sure. That makes sense. All right, let me see. What else do I want to talk? All right, here's your referees for the game today. There's no NBA playoff game today. There's just WNBA are playing today. And here in Toronto, Chicago at Minnesota, 4 o'clock, Scotiabank Arena. The crew chief is Amy Bonner. The referee is Kevin Fay. And the umpire is Teresa Stuck. I do not have any stats or food or anything for them. I do not have any profiles. I can only give you the names. Amy Bonner, Kevin Fay, and Teresa Stuck are the referees for the game here in Toronto. Here's an interesting news. It is true that the Raptors did fly to Italy to interview Sergio about coaching the Raptors. I do like hearing this. It sounded like it was a very nice meeting. It was more like they were just catching up as old friends and saying, hey, yeah, good to see you, all this kind of stuff. They did make it official. They did clear it with Virtuous Bologna so that he could come and talk to them. And everything was on the up and up, as they said. There was anything like shady about their meeting. And everybody knew about it. And they just had a nice talk. It was almost like friends because they won the title together and everything was done correctly and transparently is what they're saying. There's another part to this article that's very weird. At the end of it, it's saying that there are some wild cards with interest. This is something from Michael Grange. There are some wild cards with former Raptors head coach Dwayne Casey thought to have registered interest, and one source suggesting that Toronto has looked in the possibility of JJ Redick. So wait, this sentence says here that former Raptors head coach Dwayne Casey is thought to have had interest in coming back to Toronto and coaching us. That was the weird thing when I heard the rumor about JJ and Dwayne at the same time. I was like, wait a second, does this make any sense? Now, when I thought about it more, I was like, why would Dwayne do this? Like he's already kind of got a front office job with the Pistons. I know he was on Smith and Jones on Friday, and I wonder what he said in that interview. Did they straight up ask him? I should go listen to it. Did they straight up ask him if he wanted to come back and coach the Raptors? Because I kind of want to know what Casey said. I guess he didn't say anything newsworthy because it would have been put on blast like crazy. So I don't know how to handle this rumor of Casey actually kind of interested in returning to the Raptors after Nurse. It'd be a weird kind of bookends around Nurse. If we hired Dwayne Casey and he came back next season, of course we know he'd be a good fit. Of course we know he's coached most of this team. In fact, he had Fred, Pascal, and Jakob when they were youngsters and very much enjoyed coaching them. That may be part of the reason why it's enticing to him. Maybe in some ways he wants to come back and reclaim that job and show that he could do it with our guys. There could be all kinds of weird reasons why Dwayne Casey is interested in the Toronto Raptors job right now. I don't know. It's very strange. It's kind of like you're going back to somewhere. And in some ways, I thought the bridge was burned. But if it isn't in Casey's mind and Masai is like, yeah, sure, we'll interview him. I don't know. I think this is just a lot of hot air and that it isn't actually anything in reality. I don't know if this is actually true. That Casey has shown interest in coaching the Raptors again. I think he sounds like he's done. Like I said recently, he's got his Roger Murtaugh moment from Lethal Weapon. It's like I'm getting too old for this shit. After sitting at the bench this whole season for Detroit with Cade Cunningham out and tanking for Wemby, he kind of like it was a difficult year, I'm sure, to coach. And he's probably like, you know what, I will go in the front office and you can get another coach. That could be very well what happened there. Could be. Yeah. Cool Cat saying Fred VanVleet always said it's a business and he employed Clutch. We can't meet that money level. Scotty, 200 plus million coming up. OG's contract, Pascal's contract. We can only have three big contracts this CBA. Well, there are going to be some tough choices. Well, like with all of them, like whether it's Pascal, whether it's Fred, whether it's OG, I got to just trust them aside, and hopefully they'll divert the water and the money in investing in these guys in the contracts, the ones that are the right ones for the right purposes. There may be some confusing moves. There may be some weird, sad things that happen. But they maybe have to happen because of the way things are set up and the way things are. So we'll have to be ready for them, whether it's Fred, whether it's Pascal, whoever it is. But the signs are showing that Pascal is really like our franchise piece that they're keeping in some ways. You can really kind of tell that right now. Just like I said, Rico Hines, Christian Coloco, Yaka Pirtle, them all being pretty ensconced in like our franchise, that really shows that Siakam's not going anywhere. It wouldn't make any sense to trade Siakam like now or something like that in some ways. So some weird stuff going on here, and there is a little bit of right in the wall that Fred may be going somewhere this summer. I don't like that idea. I really don't. And this needs to be very seriously figured out. And I hope that they're just doing the best that they can, Bobby and Masai, with what they got to do. Van Hoot saying RJ and Murray wants to come, and others looked at the numbers. The Warriors get away with the highest amount of illegal screens. Steph is beloved. Not saying LBJ doesn't get calls, but still, Suns 3-team deal. Okay, there's a lot in what Van Hoot's saying on this one. Let me just break it down a little bit. Yeah, I'll bet you RJ. Well, part of it is his dad, right? His dad being in charge of Team Canada basketball and stuff, and his family's here, and he's the kind of guy. Like, look, if he can play in the pressure of MSG and with the Knicks and all the scrutiny he's gone through in his first few years in the NBA, he can definitely play in his hometown here in Toronto. And then I don't think he would be succumbing to any of the hometown pressures that other players may, like maybe SGA might fall to them a little bit more than RJ. And it's partly because of like the toughness he's had to show in New York, but also the fact that his dad is who he is. And I could see him wanting to come back here. I'll bet you, Jamal Murray, you're right that he, much like some of these young Leaf players that have come back around and they're playing for their hometown team right now, that some of these guys would probably actually dream of playing for the Raptors. It's like the Vince Carter days are when they were kids, and they may have dreamed of being Vince Carter on the Toronto Raptors. And, that's not a far-fetched thing for a young Canadian player to have dreamed to play for the Raptors. So we'll have to see if this comes to fruition in these kind of ways. Those are both great players that I would fully welcome being in a Raptors jersey on a roster, Van Hoot. I'm sure there are others. I mean, I don't know what SGA is with his mindset, or Nickel, or, there's a lot of other guys around the league at this point. Lou Dort, he's another one. It'd be very interesting if he was possibly in a Raptors jersey. Let's see what else you're saying. Okay, the screens have been a topic of conversation in this series. I'm just going to say this. These screens that you're talking about, they're very subjective. You can look at them two ways. In some ways, they call it the other way, and it's where they pick and choose where they want to do it. Well, Steve Kerr very much made a big deal about this illegal screen calls. That they got 4 of them, and this is seriously, Van Hoot. I watch this in a different way with the referees and certain things, because I really don't watch them with a wide open eyes. Basically, is what I'm saying. And with these screen calls, they did it to us this season ourselves. Like, there could be a screen, and if there's just a little bit of movement in either way, sometimes they call it the way they just want to. It's a 50-50 thing. And if the really bad thing about the illegal screen calls are they're a turnover, a foul, and they're a momentum killer. So they can be very, very much daggers into a team when they're trying to make a comeback. So it's like, and if they're doing illegal screens, just like in football, on offsides kind of calls, or late, coming in quick, A lot of that stuff happens every play. A lot of the illegal stuff with like blocking and grabbing arms and locking people up happens every single play. And it's at the discretion of the referees in the NFL to call it as when they want to. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like they may not call the illegal screen or the screen kind of stuff on Golden State, and it's fine. And one trip on down the court, but then they'll call it at a very crucial time when things are like in a bad place and things are kind of turning in the game. And that can totally be a momentum changer in the game in different ways. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. They can use a legal screen foul as a very much a pivot and a momentum changer in the game towards a team like the Lakers. So, and if they do that 4 times in a game, that's very, very, very calculated in some ways. You know, these refs, we know from the Donaghy story and other places that they say, all right, we're going to take this away from Allen Iverson. He actually travels when he does this. Well, let's go ahead and call it on him today. Or, you know, they did weird things to Michael Jordan in that show, too, if you noticed. That's what I'm saying. They can very purposely come into the game ahead of time and say, you know, that screen that the Warriors do is technically illegal all the time. You know what? Let's focus on that. And that could be how we could help the Lakers tonight. They do shit like that. You don't think that they don't do shit like that? The NBA head office gives them bulletins on what they care about with the game. And often it'll say something like, don't put fouls on LeBron. It's the same thing back in the day. Don't put fouls on Jordan because they don't want the main star, the person that everybody tunes into, to not be on the court. So there's little rules and little things like that. The referees have little meetings before the game and they talk about what they're going to do for the game, seriously, in their little room before they wait to come out. And they could very well say, like, all right, we're going to call those illegal screens on the Warriors way more tonight and make this a factor in the game. You know, you could say that the Warriors do it the most in the league, but what I'm going to say is there's fouls and there's screens and all this kind of stuff is all the time. And they really pick and choose when they want to actually call fouls because they don't call half of them. They don't call maybe a third of them, maybe even not even a quarter of them. So it's really they pick and choose when they want to start whistling. So I have a very different perspective on this than you. And some people say I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I know how the NBA likes to write their storylines and how they can manipulate things to get there. So everything LeBron does to me is tainted because they very much help him. They're holding his hand. As much as they push us back and hold us back in different ways as a franchise, they are carrying him in certain ways to where he's going. So I don't respect LeBron and the whole as many people do. I realize he's past Kareem's record now, but there in a lot of ways, there's a lot of things about his career that I don't totally respect as much as I respect Jordan or other pros like Kobe even. Let me keep going. Guardian is saying, you're saying that the Suns deal will be 3-team deal. Okay. That could be interesting. I mean, depending on what happens, like if we get the assets from somebody else and they're not from the Suns, well, then that could really actually work. So I'd be interested to see what that deal would be specifically. Guardian saying if you want to go for an OB, you pretty much have to be in the luxury tax. I say go for it. Sign our players and add 2 good pieces. Yeah. Yeah, I have no problem being the luxury tax. In fact, I want Larry to spend. You got to spend to win. And if we show a reluctance to spend money, that's not a good sign. Because in a lot of ways, our franchise has shown that it's willing to pay money and go get the people that they want. And Bobby said money is not any issue. We asked him when we came back from Tampa, is this team in trouble? And we got to worry about what we do financially. Say, no, the owners are like, we're in great shape. We can do whatever we want. Well, if they start doing weird things like trying to be cheap on not doing things with salary in certain ways, that'll be a bad sign that the Raptors are entering a new era of time. And I don't want to see that. I don't want them being cheap. If they want to spend money, they got to spend money. And they got to spend money to win. G saying if Fred stays, only time they trade Fred is for another good point guard or in a package for a star. They do not have a consistent backup at point guard even. Where would the facilitating come from? Yeah, I would be worried about a lot these issues that G's talking about. That, we can't afford to lose Fred because he's an essential part of our leadership and direction and stuff like that. Some people will be like, yay, they will party and be so happy and dance in the street when Fred leaves, but they're they don't understand just how important he is. And I'm with you. If we're going to do this, I bet you Bobby and Masai won't make a mistake where they're like going to get rid of Fred and not have a plan for after Fred. They will definitely not do that if they do end up losing Fred this summer. Wayne's saying Miami is in, and our mentor Kyle is being hailed as a super intelligent basketball player. Tonight we say goodbye to the great MVP flopper. Lakers deserve their win. Warriors depend on Curry too much. Yeah, I think that may have been part of their downfall. Klay Thompson and him are supposed to both do it. Where was in some ways Wiggins wasn't as big a factor in this playoffs, but can we blame him? He was away for a big chunk of the season, and in some ways that didn't work. And obviously, the underlying problems with Jordan Poole and Draymond Green never actually went away this season. They acted like everything was fine and hunky dory, but it really wasn't. And in some ways, Jordan Poole is now they're on the hook with him for this crazy contract, and he looks like he's not worth it. I was like, when they signed that contract to him, I was like, why are they doing this? This is ridiculous. Because I saw that right through him the whole time. You just think because he's around Steph Curry that he just automatically becomes a splash brother because his last name is Poole. No, that's not how it works. He has to have some time and consistency to get there. And they anointed him splash brother incumbent too early. He's not there. I don't know if he will be. Let's see. Tomorrow will be game 7, Boston and Philly. So the flopper won't be eliminated till tomorrow if that's going to happen that way. I'm still rooting for Philly. I still want to see Boston go out. In fact, the longer that Boston and the Lakers are around, the more I think they're trying to orchestrate this. Van Hoot, if it's the Celtics versus the Lakers in the finals, I'm just going to say the NBA is rigged. I'm going to say that seriously, that the NBA is rigged. If we get the Celtics versus the Lakers in the finals, it's totally rigged. It might as well be WWE, and Triple H is booking it, as far as I'm concerned. So, all right, let's keep going. Van Hoot is saying Jamal has actually said outright that he would want to come. That's awesome. I love hearing that, and we need that kind of person, like a great player like him, especially if they win the championship this year. Oh my gosh, that'll be really, really good. Lou Dort always reps here. Yeah, yeah, he's a Montreal guy. And in some ways, I worry about like some of these Montreal guys may not want to come play for Toronto. In some ways, like Ben Mathurin, I don't know what kind of allegiance he would have to Toronto Raptors. Being from Montreal, but maybe they were Raptor fans in Montreal. So who knows? I know Lou Dort's real cool with Chris. Obviously, they're a Montreal connection. There's just certain things about and I love that he's with SGA in Oklahoma City because it's like they're the Canadian guys in the middle of the country in the U.S. SGA, as always, represents. Yeah, these guys love Canada and they love this, the country and the city. But do they want to play for the Raptors? That's a whole other different question. In some ways, representing the country and going to play for Team Canada, that says a lot. But playing for the Raptors is a whole other kit and caboodle in some ways. I'm sure some of them actually do have this dream, but it may be hard to tell who has it and who doesn't. Kelly Olynyk has Toronto ties like crazy, but he tries to kill us. And in some ways, he's a Raptor killer. He's somebody who's not really on our side, Kelly Olynyk. So that's not always just like given just because they're from around here that they're good for us or like want to come play here. But I agree that those guys that you're naming, those are highly probable people that could possibly be Raptors later on for sure. 4 screens, I'm saying regular season. An official report came out and said Golden State get the most. Okay. I don't know what the report is or anything. I just know what they're complaining about. And there was a bit of back and forth. Like LeBron told him to quit bitching about it. But listen, he's got a politic. That's part of the job of a coach in the playoffs is adjustments. Part of it is, politicking and whining and crying about a certain thing. And maybe you can get the change on that call in the games. The Warriors just weren't a very good team this year. They weren't a very good team during the regular season. They weren't together. They had a lot of injuries. And they didn't have it this year in some ways. Last year, they kind of like were lucky the way that they got through the playoffs and got to where they got. Well, they didn't have that luck this year, and they may have needed that luck to get to where they got last year. So, I mean, I'm glad the Warriors are out. Don't get me wrong. I wanted both those teams out. It's just I'm going to hate on the Lakers here on out. I'm definitely for the Nuggets, and I'm definitely for the Heat at this point. Those are the 2 teams I want to see in the finals. Let's see. Van Hoot saying Ben Mathurin was teammates with Koloko, and SGA and his cousin work out at Humber in the summer. Nickel is here right now. That's awesome. That's awesome. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they could be just back at home. It doesn't necessarily mean that anything with the Raptors, but I like hearing this kind of ideas and saying like, yeah, let's get more Canadians on this team. We lost Ken Birch in the middle of the season in a trade, and our Canadian content went down a player. So we need to replenish it and get back to what, three or four Canadians on our team. Maybe we draft somebody like Zach Eddy, and boom, we got somebody else that's like on the team that's Canadian. That'd be awesome. Let's see. G saying we will see if the refs help or not versus the Nuggets. Nuggets have the height and post presence. Yeah, yeah. In some ways, and Davis is a little banged up now. Everybody's concerned about him a little bit, and there's different things, different issues with the Lakers, with the matchup with the Nuggets. We'll have to see how it goes. The home court advantage is going to come in very help. They're going to need that home court advantage and very much capitalize on it. If they have the mentality of Michael Malone, the coach, in the last game against Phoenix, they will do very well against the Lakers because in some ways that is part of what's bringing them above and beyond everybody in the Western Conference. Is the Nuggets are really kind of the best team, and they're running at the highest level, and they're really playing at such a good like quality. You see the efficiency of Jokic right now, and part of it is he's scoring a lot himself. Like that is part of it. He's putting it in his own hands. In some ways, we're seeing a duality between him and Embiid on both conferences, as far as the two main MVP candidates are very much stepping up and playing huge games in these playoff games to help their teams win in some of these games. And as they do, their teams do. So, and we got to always remember, what is his name? Blue Arrow. Yeah, we got to watch out for him bombing like crazy, doing some amazing stuff, getting a 50-point game all of a sudden. Yeah, you can probably see Jamal Murray score 50 on the Lakers at some point. I'm gonna bet you money right now. Wayne's saying Wiggins played well, but nothing was being run for him. It was mostly Poole and Curry, so they got beaten, rightly so. I'm saying Miami versus Nuggets. I'm with you, Wayne. That's the matchup I want. That's the matchup I want. If we got Philly versus the Nuggets, I'd be okay too. Because in some ways, I like the attractiveness of Embiid and Jokic on the highest level. That's a really cool story. Also, Joel versus Nikola in the finals. That would be amazing, actually. In some ways, Jason Smith saying Hamilton, so he likes the kid out of UConn for us to draft. Hamilton. Oh no, Hamilton. He's just talking about Savanna Hamilton. We can talk more about Savanna Hamilton, y'all. When she played at Ryerson, she played forward. She's 6'1". Her high school was Saint Edmund Campion in Mississauga, and she wasn't like one of the more star players, but she did start for a lot of her career at Ryerson when she played collegiately. She didn't have like the greatest numbers or anything, but she was out there competing, and that's what matters. And honesty, her sister is a way better player than her, and is doing a lot more in the actual playing at this point. So she really is in the broadcasting world, and she's killing it and excelling at it either way. That's awesome. You go, Savanna Hamilton. We want to see more great stuff from you over time. She even worked at MLSE on Leaf stuff for a while. So she was covering the Leafs and making producing clips and content about the Leafs also. So she has quite a resume for somebody so young in the broadcast world already. So she's well on her way. She even worked at CBC, y'all. She worked in the CBC as an associate director and a graphics operator for the Winter Olympics in 2018. So she's really building quite the resume. And now that she's the sideline reporter for Sportsnet, that is just the level she's at now. She's gonna keep going. Watch. I'll bet you she'll keep going. I bet you she will. All right, y'all. Let's get ready for today. I'm going to start wrapping things up. Chicago Sky at Minnesota Lynx, 4 o'clock today. Scotiabank Arena. Such good players in this game. Some Canadians like Carlton. Just going to be really fun to see WNBA action in our arena here in Toronto. Sold out. Hopefully, it's a really good energy, good crowd, and we get the good impression on the WNBA so that they grant us a team here in Toronto. The referees for today are Amy Bonner, Kevin Fahey, and Teresa Stuck. Yes. All right. I think that's about all I wanted to talk about today. We were just sharing the love for Savanna Hamilton, an important part of the broadcast group that we see on TV for Raptors broadcasts. We appreciate the work you've done, the hard work, the travel, all the different things you've done this past season, Savannah. And we look forward to more seasons of you covering the Raptors and bringing us good questions in the press room. Be better than Michael Grange. Be better than Mike Ganter. Be better than Aaron Rose. Ask the really good questions like you have been, the good questions that the fans want to hear, maybe fun questions, lifestyle questions, positive questions, questions that help the Raptors, not questions that could possibly pull things apart. And that's the thing I really hate about some of the press people is that they're always asking those kind of questions. Wayne saying on the topic, Savannah is great, and we love that she doesn't talk as much as Kayla. Love her. I'm going to do Kayla Gray at some point too, and I'm not trying to diss Kayla Gray. It's just that because of Savannah's background in playing, and today being the WNBA game, I felt like this was a good. I was going to do a share the love club for Savanna Hamilton at some point this summer. So I just figured a great day to do it would be today, where she's working as the sideline reporter for the first ever WNBA game played in Canada. And because it's about the women's game today, well, I wanted to celebrate a woman's player that played at in college. And Savannah was the best pick, so that's part of why. But I would probably do Kayla Gray at some point. And I'm not dissing Kayla Gray. She's great too. She has her own style and different things she does. But Wayne's saying that sounds like Wayne prefers Savannah over Kayla. But they're both great. Honestly, I don't want to sully Kayla either. She's got a looser kind of fun attitude. Kayla does in some ways, not as professional in some ways as Savannah, but in some ways that job can allow for a little bit of personality. And that's kind of where Kayla is at this point in her career. We got to remember she's a little bit older, and she's been around a little longer. So she's kind of had periods where she was super professional earlier on in her broadcast career. And now she's a little more loose because she feels more comfortable and can be a little more fun. But they're both great in their own ways. Van Hoot saying Kelly isn't from here. He's from Kelowna, BC. Well, I'm going to correct you here, Van Hoot. He's actually born in Toronto and was raised his early years here in Toronto. And then he moved to BC and went to high school there. So he is actually from Toronto first. His parents were here because, listen to this, his mother used to be the scorekeeper for the Toronto Raptors. And then we first started our franchise in the mid 90s. Kelly Olnick's mother worked for our team, and his father also worked around in team basketball. I'm not sure if he actually worked for the Raptors, but he was working for Team Canada or something at that point already. But they moved out west, and he was raised out in BC. So he does kind of identify more as a Western Canadian at this point, but he's technically born in Toronto and raised here partly when he was younger. So let's see. Ken Birch sacrificed them knees at the hand of Nursery. That's such a funny thing. Now, I don't like calling Nick Nurse Nick Nursery. It's not nice. I mean, I know Eric Flynn made that funny joke, but in some ways, I want to respect Nick. I mean, in some ways, he's going to get a lot of crap, and there's going to be weird shit that comes out about why he's not talked to us since, and maybe he is a little angry. But we still got to remember he is the guy who coached us to our championship, our first championship, and somebody that I want to still respect. But you may be right. I mean, he didn't even get to play. He didn't even use him at all and stuff. I think that Kem's knees were already kind of messed up. And but Nurse probably didn't help. You're right. Wiggins had to basically be told by his mom to play for Team Canada. Well, I can understand that maybe in some ways. I don't know. Andrew Wiggins is something else, but I'm glad that he's been involved. Hopefully he's more into it than that sounds like. Our chip is in transit. Savannah is dope. Our chip is in transit. So you're saying that it's on the way? It's in delivery? It's we can track it. We have a package number. We're going to track our championship on the way coming in. I like that. I want that to happen. Let's hope it doesn't get lost. G saying, I always thought Jamal would come here. Problem is he is an unrestricted free agent next season, and the Nuggets are doing very well, so it probably will not be this round. Maybe his next free agency. Yeah, he seems like a little young. It could be like a third contract that he takes somewhere down there. Who knows? We'll have to see just when the opportunities present themselves. Once again, y'all, we have a GM and a team president. They're opportunists. that we may act like we're not doing anything very much. We're very calculated. Maybe we don't make as many moves. Maybe people are saying like, "Oh, the Raptors are going to just keep everybody," but we make big splashes and we take opportunities that come up and arise. And that's really what Masai is hinting at for this summer. That he wants to see how things fall out with all the other franchises, with different things that are going on. We're hearing things about Aiton and Paul now that Phoenix is out. We're hearing different things about this player's not coming back, Dylan Brooks. There's going to be a shuffle up and deal kind of in the middle of the summer. And Masai may be able to be very smart in calculating of being an opportunist and make something like a Kawhi for DeMar DeRozan deal happen. So that's what we're going to be looking for this summer. The shuffle up and deal of the NBA free agency summer could be very much an opportunity for our front office to make a big splash and do something huge. So we'll have to see. Okay, Amazon is sending us a chip. All right. I hope it doesn't take too long. Do we have Prime? Jason Smith saying, why is my comments not posting? All right, Jason, I don't know. Let me see. I'm going to put the mod on you. You're going to get a mod, bro. And what means is you can just write it in. If it's not showing up, then I'll find out why. All I've seen from you is Hamilton, the word Hamilton. So write something in now. Let's test it, Jason. I just gave you a wrench. So you should not be hindered, and I should be able to read everything that you're writing. We have this problem sometimes. I don't know if YouTube's trying to cause some problems for me or something, but sometimes people complain that their comments are not getting through. And I don't like that. I want everybody to get their comments through. So you're getting a wrench. So let's see if just try it out real quick, Jason, please. Type something in and let me see if I can see it this time. And maybe it has something to do with your connection. It may not have to do with me. So we'll have to see. All right. You got a little bit of seconds. Oh, there you go. It says cool. It says cool. It says cool. All right. If you have something you wanted to get across that I didn't read yet, go ahead and write it in right now. And I'll do it real quick right before I leave, because I am going to wrap this up in the next, I don't want to be on past 90 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up real quick. Yeah. Tomorrow, Sunday special report, talking more about WNBA coming to Toronto and the real possibility and maybe of it happening very soon. And we'll even review and talk about the game that's happening today. The real jerk wings are good. Okay, Jason's talking about real jerk. Yeah, I like the real jerk. In fact, maybe I should go there. I'll go eat Subway for lunch, and then I'll go to the real jerk for dinner and get some of their fantastic wings. They really do have good wings. I don't live too far from the real jerk, so I get them all the time. All right, Jason, thanks for that addition. That's awesome. I love that. All right, y'all, please like, comment, subscribe, and share if you enjoy the Raptor Free channel. Every single day, 9:30 a.m., we're live talking about Raptor stuff day to day, so keeping on track. Whatever's going on. The Raptors are at the Leaf game last night. We will talk about it here. If Scotty's got a picture of his Rottweiler on Instagram, we will talk about it here. If we have a WNBA game in Canada today, we will talk about it here. So come back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m., Sunday special report, WNBA in Toronto. Let's see when we're going to get a team. Let's do it, Toronto. Get out there and be enthusiastic and get loud at that game today. Have a good time and enjoy the WNBA in Toronto today. Sign that statue and get loud and cheer. And let's get an expansion team here in Canada very soon. Blackhawk saying big up to you, Blackhawk also. All right, let's go Raptors. But let's also go ladies. And let's go WNBA. And let's go Savanna Hamilton. And let's go Chicago and Minnesota WNBA teams. Have a fantastic game today. And we look forward to the WNBA possibly coming to our country and being played in our arena also. All right, y'all. Have a great day. Touch grass and get out in that sunshine and share the love.